What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Conor Benn, Gervonta Tank Davis. Get this, the beef has continued. Now, we all know that Gervonta Tank Davis is involved in a domestic violence dispute or issue or incident with his child's mom, okay? And it's still being sorted out. He's out of jail. He's broke silence. You know, he's claimed innocent, but of course he did. That's what you do, right? And we do know that Conor Benn was involved maybe a month and a half ago in a couple months ago now, in a possible failed drug test issue, the scandal that was released. A lot of info came out. A lot of people were wagged the finger at. A lot of people were blamed, of course. So it is what it is. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis was one of those guys that did go at Conor Benn and at his promoter, Eddie Hearn. Okay. And this is what he had to say. If you guys don't know, he said, "The F what you talking about? Why did you try to continue a boxing fight when you knew a fighter was dirty at Eddie Hearn? Not to mention, Buddy sent me an offer for Ryan, some shit I'm already making plus more." And he said, and why didn't they just ban Eddie for trying to have the fight after he knew a fight was cheating and still try to continue with the boxing match? Okay. Now, since all this has happened with Gervonta, Conor has came up and shot back with a counter, okay? And here's the counter. He said, at Gervonta, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, little man. Okay? And I think the comeback was kind of, it was, I think, see, some things are badass when you don't say a lot, hey, and then he gave him an old saying, throwing stones in a glass house, meaning don't talk about me, all right, when you got your own stuff going. But see, Conor Benn waited. He waited until that time. He could have came back at Gervonta a long time ago, but he waited until this time. And I don't think he waited. I think he just has something now to come back with, because everybody was shitting all over Conor Benn. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was like really questioning, like, what is this dude really about? How good is he really without drugs? Is he on drugs? Those type of things came up. Those questions you ask yourself about a fighter when those things come up. But now this has come up against Gervonta Tank Davis. And he's like, hey, little man, he calls him, and don't throw stones in a glass house. It could be better, but then, he at least lets Gervonta Tank Davis know that he was talking about him. But, Gervonta being Gervonta did this. He said, quote, he said, stay off the drugs and come holler at me. I'll show you a glass house and a glass jaw, you fucking bum, cold bum at that. Wow. So what does this mean? Okay. Is this going to be one of those just arguments through social media that dissolve into nothing? Nothing ever happens to it. People are just talking back and forth like two people across the street yelling at each other. Or we really get a good treat of a newfound rivalry between USA and UK. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you guys are going to really be, or you guys have a beef, you guys don't like what happened with each other's careers, because obviously Conor don't like that, but I think Conor was just really responding. But he did call him a little man, so Gervonta, I think it's up to him to prove that he's not. And see, one thing about Gervonta, I think he needs to, if he's trying to make his own legacy, I think people forget who like Roy Jones Jr. was, like how Roy did it. Roy eventually got beat doing it, but that's what Roy was known for. He would fight anybody and everybody. Joe Calzaghe, Jeff Lacey, Antonio Tarver, like he would fight everyone, James Toney, everyone that was around at that time. He would fight them. Okay. And I think these fighters of today, they fight these guys that you don't want to see. And the only reason that people pick other fighters that they don't fight is because they're not fighting them. If they fought them, it would be no issue. People that follow boxing knows who is good based on what they've seen them do with someone else. But it's very common these days not to see the fights that we want to see because these guys are not making those fights. But then here's the thing. If you're not making the fights, why is it all the talk? Women talk. Men don't supposed to talk. Men should be like Bud Crawford. Men should be like Jared Boots Ennis. Those kind of guys that don't talk a lot. Just like, give me the fight. Let's fight. Let's see. Show me. Right? Let's do that. Not let's talk. And then Gervonta, he's been notorious for just talking a lot of stuff on, online, and then it's not leading up to anything at all. I remember Lomachenko said, yeah, he's the pound for pound best fighter on Twitter because he was just talking. Not saying Floyd was letting him fight those guys, because Floyd did say, absolutely not. He's not fighting Lomachenko. Lomachenko stayed too long in the amateurs. No, absolutely not. Take Davey. Lomachenko's on his way out. Tank Davis is the future. And then Tank pissed him off then. You know what? Absolutely want the Lomachenko fight. We want to make that fight happen. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, yeah, we got two shades of Floyd now. But that fight never happened. And then you get a lot of this back and forth talk. Another Jamal Charlo and Danny Jacobs. That fight never happened. That probably would have been one of the fights of the year if it would have came through. But it didn't. Okay, and they were both with Al Haymon. So it's not all about Al Haymon. Okay, so a lot of these fighters don't fight because they don't want to fight. They don't want to make it done. They don't want to make that fight happen. They just want to talk. So hopefully Gervonta will stop his streak of talking shit and not making a fight happen. Well, Conor has to get back to the sport and be allowed to fight first, to be fair. But this could be, on a positive note, a newfound rivalry. That's the only good thing I could take from it. Okay, Conor Benn, you're at 147. Gervonta Tank Davis, he's basically at 140. Let's just be real. I mean, he had problems making weight anyway. He's Tank. You know what I mean? He's small, he's short. But that doesn't mean he's small. He's solid, Tank. He's solid. So how about this? How about they come in at a catch weight of 145? No. How about 143? I mean, Conor wanted Chris Eubank Jr. to come down to 157. So why couldn't he come down to 153 or 153 and a half? I think that would happen. And if they don't make that weight, then some fines would have to be according to the contract, like some Juan Manuel Marquez and some Floyd Mayweather stuff, where Floyd came in at 146 instead of coming in at 144, and he had to pay Juan Manuel Marquez a whole lot of money, for each pound. And I think that was like $300,000 each for each pound that he didn't come over. Maybe that'll happen. But yeah, I would like to see these guys get it on, since they have a lot to say about each other. Wait for the counter from Conor Benn when he's going to respond when he hears stay off the drugs. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of these two guys, Gervonta Tank Davis and Conor Benn. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!